Welcome back. We're getting near the end, and in this video we're going to be talking about the 5-year look-back rule, the difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance, how you can pass on up to $878,000 worth of assets to one of your children and still be eligible for Medicaid and have it result that there would not be a claim against your estate for long-term care. Now, if you're already taking a subsidy with the Affordable Care Act and you're already doing that, there's not much we can do about that one, but we can deal with things in the future like long-term care. So with that in mind, let's get started. The first thing we need to look at is what's the difference between tax avoidance and tax evasion. I've had people say to me, Tom, you know, good rotten scoundrel, you're just helping people avoid taxes. And I say, thank you, that's right, I am. Tax avoidance is ethical, moral, legal, and right. Tax evasion, on the other hand, is immoral, illegal, and wrong. And if you engage in tax evasion, rest assured, sooner or later the IRS will get you. I'll illustrate it like this. Let's pretend that you lived in a town. Let's call this our little town, okay? And in our little town, this here is going to be north, that way, this way. Okay, and in our little town, a river might run through it, and the river might go like this. And we call this, since it's a river, there's going to be a hill, we'll call this the South Hill, okay? Why not? And we'll call this one the North Hill, because, well, there's a hill on the north side of town. There's a river that runs through it. And there's a bridge here that goes across the river in our little town, then it goes up the North Hill. Okay, now in this fictitious little town of ours, our little town, this river runs through. Now let's say one day a large, ugly troll moved in under the bridge. He's an ugly, angry troll, okay? And this ugly, angry troll puts a toll on the bridge. Now, just in case you missed it, the troll, that's the government, okay? And let's say he puts a toll on this bridge. If you were to drive across this bridge without paying the toll to the troll, rest assured the troll will eat you, okay? So now let's say there's another bridge over here in our fictitious little town, and let's add a wildlife refuge here with a drive-by thing and a road going out here and a bridge going over here. Well, maybe our river, maybe it should go that way. Okay, so now let's call that place, this fictitious place, Copeland. And let's say that the troll puts a toll on this bridge of 50 cents. And that's not a reference to a rapper. 50 cents. Okay, you put a 50-cent toll on that bridge. How many of you, if you need to get to work in town, would go ahead and just pay the 50 cents and drive over the bridge? I would. Okay, but there's some of you who will stand on principle, and you will go all the way out here and on this windy road and all along the river there, the road along the river, and come in this way into town for the principle of the matter to save the 50 cents. Fine, you can do that. You're avoiding the tax. In tax avoidance, there's no toll here. You're doing nothing illegal. And remember, the best way the government has for controlling our behavior is the tax code. The criminal code, the penal code, not so much, because most of us don't go out every day and engage in crimes. But let's say the government were to say, you know what? We're going to put a tax, a big tax, say a $10 tax on every soft drink over 16 ounces. Well, we're going to buy 16-ounce soft drinks. We're not going to buy 32. We'll buy 2 16s if we have to avoid that tax. So it changes our behavior. So now if that's 50-cent tax, no big deal. We're all going to go over it. What if that tax is $8,000 a month? You see where I'm going here. The cost of nursing home care. How many of you would drive this extra 10 or 15 miles out of the way to save $8,000 a month? I mean, if your name's not Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos, you know, Elon Musk, you're probably, they just take their own private helicopters, forget that. But you're probably going to avoid the tax avoidance. Now, out here we have a wildlife refuge. It's symbolic. In sunset, it's very pretty. And this is the sunset of our life. The government actually would like you to go this way. They're telling you to go this way. How? They're giving you an incentive. If you go this way over the bridge, and this bridge here is long-term care, without your children helping you. If you go over this bridge, you are going to pay $8,000 a month. And if you don't have the money and we pay for it, we're going to come get that money. But you could go this way to the wildlife refuge in the sunset of your life, and it's going to cost someone some time and some money. It will be one of your children who will take the time to help you, and you can take the drive with them. It's a beautiful drive in the sunset of your life to go the longer route, the route less traveled. So what's happening here? Well, what's happening here is the government is saying if one of your children take care of you, and I'll get back to this in a minute, to keep you out of long-term care when you're otherwise qualified and need long-term care, and if they can do that for 2 years, then they're going to let you get long-term care and not have that look back. The next issue we're going to cover is called the 5-year look back rule, sometimes referred to as the 5-year clawback rule. Well, what happens is, when you saw in our earlier video that you can only have a certain amount of resources to be eligible for Medicaid, some people got a bright idea. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and give my assets to my children and then apply for Medicaid. Well, Medicaid saw that. They said, oh, this is not good. People are doing this. So they made a 3-year clawback rule. And then a few years back, they turned it into a 5-year clawback rule. Today, May of 2020, it's a 5-year. If you're watching this some point in the future, it's subject to change. Here's how it works. The most important day in our analysis here is what I call A day. That's the day that you first apply for Medicaid, specifically long-term care assisted living. When you apply, they will ask you in your application, have you given any gifts to anyone in the last 5 years, right? Or sold anything for less than fair market value, and have you given a gift? If you have, then you get a penalty. The penalty is measured in months, and what we're saying here is you're not eligible until this penalty period is up, or the person gives you the stuff back. And there's a thing we call the half loaf, but it's very rare because most of the time you're not going to be able to get the stuff back or the money back because the person has spent it or used it. So you got this 5-year look back rule. So let's say that you have a house here, okay? And you give this house to your child, okay? We're going to give this house to child C. And let's say the value of that house is $400,000, okay? That's a $400,000 house you gave to that child, and you did it during this look-back period. Now, this is an oversimplification, but it's going to get you there, going to get you close. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and say, oh, you're going to have a penalty for giving that house for free to that child during that look-back period. How do we calculate the penalty? Well, we take how much the gift was worth, and we divide it by your cost of care. So for example, in this example, we're in long-term care costing $8,000 a month. Well, what do we have? We have 50 is our answer. Okay, and so what happens here is you're going to have up to, it could be less if you gave it back here, but you could have up to a 50-month penalty. You need long-term care, you're not getting it. Okay? This is where grandma and grandpa end up destitute. This is a really bad situation to be in the penalty box. So you want to avoid this. So people go, aha, I know what we're going to do. We're going to give it right here. And come hell or high water, we're not going to apply for Medicaid for 5 years. Danger, Will Robinson. Now, if you want to know about unicorns and ponies and cotton candy clouds, don't come see me. I'm a lawyer. I talk about volcanoes and earthquakes and pestilence and famine, all the things that can go wrong. If you want to know what can go wrong, come see me. You're about to find out. Let's say that you decide to leave this to your daughter Dawn, right? I use Dawn again. You're going to leave this house to your daughter Dawn, okay? And you're going to wait 5 years. You're still living in that house, and you're going to make sure you don't apply. Now, Dawn is married to Dirtbag, right? His name is Dirt, like Joe Dirt. D-bag. Okay, Dirtbag. Now, Dirtbag says to Don, "You love me, don't you? Oh, I love you more than life. I know you did. What's mine is yours and yours is mine. Isn't that the way we work? You do trust me and love me, don't you? Oh, yes, I do. Okay, sign here." And they sign a community property agreement. What happens? This house that you gave to Don now becomes Don's and Dirtbag's. What's coming next? You know what's happening. Dirtbag files for divorce against Don. And now your house ends up in your child's divorce settlement. You're living in the house, the divorce goes through, and the judge says, guess what? You got to buy him out. You're going to have to spend $200,000 to stay in your house, or it's going to be sold out from underneath you, and you've just lost it. So you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Now, there's other ways it could go bad as well. Let's say that instead of being married to Dirtbag, Dawn is married to someone named Bernie. I was thinking Bernie Madoff, not Bernie Sanders, but it could be Bernie either way. B-R-N-I-E. Okay, married to a Bernie. And this guy, he thinks he's a shrewd investor. Okay, and you give the house to Don, and he says, look at this $400,000 house. It's paid for. We should put that money to work for us. I know what to do. I am a shrewd investor. I'm smarter than the other guy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out a loan. We can get 80% of that value of that house as a loan, and we're going to invest it, and we're going to get a great return. Matter of fact, did you see oil the other day was trading at 22, 26 a barrel? It can't go down anymore. So he goes into futures or commodities. Futures, let's go bear futures. And you saw what happened the next day? Oil went to below zero for the first time. And he loses everything, and he has a margin call to boot. And suddenly they can't make the payments because he's blown the money just like that. And they don't make the payments. You're living in the house. She owns it. They refinanced it. To refinance it, they don't have to give you notice. Most likely it got turned into community property because the underwriters are going to require that. And your house gets foreclosed on and you don't get notice. You have no idea it's coming till they post it on the door and say, you got 30 days or 60 days or 90 days to pay all this money or we're taking your house. Really bad idea. So don't try that. I'm going to show you something better.